Sam, you
Good to go.
good to go? Ms. Keena, you ready?
I'm ready. Not everyone has logged into the.
It's making me mess with my password, but I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Out here.
Do I try it on my computer? It might be easier.
You save like when you back out to students. Okay.
Who knew?
Perfect timing.
Mine's asking me to reset my password, so.
Okay.
Right there with you. Mine's asking me to reset my password, so I'm right there with you.
Yeah, okay. I think I know how to do it once it shows up. I was waiting for it.
I'll call the September 2nd, 2025 Charlottesville City Council meeting to order. Ms. Thomas, will you please call the roll?
Counselor Oshrin,
Present?
Counselor Payne,
Here.
Vice Mayor Pinkston,
Here.
Counselor Snook,
Here.
Mayor Wade.
Here. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve or amend the agenda?
I move for approval of the agenda.
We'll
I'll
do-
second it.
We'll do a voice vote.
Okay.
Well, I know there had been email discussion, Louis or others. Do you have any desire to have like a special comment period?
No, we're going to have, not a special one, but we'll have the regular meeting at the beginning, at the end.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you have something further, Michael?
No, I just know that Lloyd had emailed that suggestion. I don't know if.
I hadn't seen any response before I came, so I didn't know if it was.
Counselors, I did send you a response just moments ago, though, so it's okay if you did not see it. If you do want to add a special comment period tonight, I would suggest maybe not calling it a public hearing because, well, we have not advertised it as such, but you can always amend your agenda. But if you're going to amend your agenda, now would be the time to do it before it's approved.
Okay.
This is the time to do it if you're going to.
Seems to me that people will have plenty of chance to comment. I mean, either during the regular comments or at the end.
We know that we've already had 19 additional people saying they want to talk on this topic. To comment at the end of the meeting, of course, it depends on whether we have an actual vote. If we don't have an actual vote tonight, the issue will continue for a while, so.
Yeah, I don't think we're planning to vote on it.
Okay, then that's fine.
It's the first of two readings.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's been moved and properly second. Further discussion? All in favor? Please, we're going to do a voice vote for now. Please say yes.
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 All opposed, please say no. Thank you. The agenda has been approved. Our meeting will be divided into three sections. The first one will be to hear presentations that do not require a council vote, and then we will have a closed session, which I actually don't think we have anything in the closed session today. And then we'll come back at 6:30 for our regular council meeting. And today we're going to hear three reports. The first one is from the sister city commission, Mr. Herring.
Good afternoon, Mayor Wade, members
Good
of the
afternoon.
council, Mr. Sanders. Thank you for inviting me to come today. It's always a pleasure to come and talk about our Sister City Commission with you. We've had a very exciting year and looking forward to some other ones. Now, just to remind you right quick, we have 4 sister cities. Baggio in Italy is our oldest, our sister city since 1976. We have Besançon in France, our sister city since 2006, which you will notice the fact that we'll be coming up upon the 20th anniversary next year. Winneba in Ghana, sister city since 2010. And of course, Huehuetenango, Guatemala, which has been a friendship city since 2021. We actually met with them and talked with them quite a bit before, but that was in time of the pandemic, which means the fact that we didn't become official friends until 2021. Okay. I do want to mention the commissioners who are not here, but we have Commissioner Allison Brown, who works for the Charlottesville City School, who basically is our education K-12 coordinator. Kimberly Hayes, who's fairly new, within a year or so, who has taken over the position as the representative to Winneba. S. Lisa Herndon, who started this summer, is a commissioner at large. Myself, of course, commissioner at large. Our new commissioner, John Mason, who retired from the University of Virginia recently. Stella Mattioli is a native of Poggio, and she represents Poggio on the commission. Salvatore Moschella is our representative for higher education, and he works for Piedmont Virginia Community College. Bonita Patterson is also new as an at-large. Christian Petros de Gers, business representative, who's also a Spanish speaker and had spent time in the Peace Corps in Guatemala. We have Elizabeth Smiley, who has been our secretary for a couple of years and is also the representative to Besançon. Sherry Stewart has been on about a year now. She also works for Charlottesville City Schools as well as Piedmont. And we do not have a youth coordinator. We are hoping that as school is getting started in the last few weeks that we can find perhaps a high school junior or even sophomore who will be able to fill that position. And of course, we have Mike Cecilia Robinson, our staff liaison. We have, for the first time in quite a long time, we're almost complete. We did lose 3 people this year through the end of their terms came up and they chose not to renew. Now, as I mentioned, the city we've had a relationship the longest is Poggio in Italy. And Poggio is a smaller city. It does not have a high school. But we have a mayor of the city who's very interested in coming here to meet us and learn about our city. The last visit we had was in 2017. We had a delegation of about 6-7 people that coincided with the Virginia Film Festival because a couple of people from Poggio entered the film into the festival. And we were able to have a screening sponsored by the Sister City Commission at that point in time. So that was 2017. But the newly elected mayor has expressed his desire to come. We're still waiting for the time and it would only be 2 people, and so it'll be a quick visit to Charlottesville and back to Italy. We are looking forward also to Winneba. Now, as you know, we have also in the city of Charlottesville, the Charlottesville Winneba Foundation or Association, which has been active in parallel with the Sister City Commission to mostly to take citizens of Charlottesville to Winneba. And I know that Mayor Wade went and Mayor Councilor Snook went to Winneba. And we have probably historically a very, very close relationship with Winneba. Ghana played a significant role over 200 years ago in the North American slave trade. And therefore it sort of cemented itself in the history of Virginia.
Sir, were there slides you were wanting to progress?
Well, they could, but I have them in front of me.
I don't know if you want the clicker or...
Well, you know, I'm quite halfway through.
That's fine.
That's fine. Yeah.
Whatever you're comfortable.
Yes.
No, okay.
We like folks that are ahead of schedule.
Kimberly Hayes, as I mentioned, is the representative from the commission to Winterburg. And she's begun to work closely with the prior representative, along with Dave Norris, who helps run the foundation, as well as work, she's made contact with officials in the city of Winterburg. And we're looking forward to having events. We will be establishing some of our own events, not necessarily the events through the foundation, but events directly from the commission with Winterburg. Okay, I do want to mention the fact that Best of Song was very interesting this past year. Mayor Wade went to Best of Song on September the 8th. September the 8th was a commemoration of the 80th anniversary of the American troops liberating Best of Song. As you can imagine, that whole year, because from the time we had D-Day, it took quite a few months, probably between D-Day and the time we liberated the last location in France was about a 6-month period. So Best of Song happened in September. They have a square called September the 8th, and they were very proud, and they invited Mayor Wade to come and take part in the celebrations. And from everything I hear, it was very successful.
Yeah.
It was a little bit overwhelming sometimes when you think about that, but it shows us that we have a history that goes back, well, even before we became sister cities. There's also a little bit of a history because of some of the connections to Thomas Jefferson also came from the Best of Song area, and some of his inspirations for architecture. Now, the next one is, of course, our city of Huehuetenango. October the 10th, we have a delegation of 11 people headed up by Mayor Wade to go to Huehuetenango in Guatemala. We're looking forward to that. We're going to spend a day in the capital city. We're going to do some other touristy things, and then we're going to go for 3 days of receptions and dinners and meetings with the mayor and his staff from Huehuetenango. I do want to mention the fact that not every city has a commission, as we do. Many cities have just an office of international relations, or the mayor themselves handle it. And in the case of Huehuetenango, the mayor, Mayor Cano, is heavily involved in the sister city relationship. But we're looking forward to that. We are going to do, just so you know, in case you want to come, we're going to do a middle of the night flight. Leave here at 2 a.m., rather at 6 a.m., and be ready to run. It's going to go, but so there's still one more seat left. If someone at the last moment wanted to climb aboard, just give me a yell.
Did you say be ready to run?
Well, be ready to
there.
walk.
Yeah,
Be ready to walk, perhaps. I don't do a lot of running anymore. So, now, this past year, we also did several, we participated in several activities. The Tom Tom Festival, we sponsored a program out at the Lewis and Clark Exploratory Center. It was quite successful. We had over 110 people come, participate in a mapping plan to basically freehand draw maps of where our sister cities were. And a lot of people participated. It was a lot of fun. We participated in the Jefferson Founders Day. We were asked for the second year in a row to participate in a wreath laying ceremony, and we did that also. Now, as part of that, they have what they call a partner's tent. So we were able to have a table in the partner's tent where we could basically meet people from Charlottesville. And we had a chance to give out our cards, give out paraphernalia to about 80 people. We also did the same thing during the Monticello naturalization event. We had another table out there, and we were able to meet a lot of people, promote the things we're working on, give out information, and solicit people who might want to help. And so it was very, very successful. One other thing that we did this past year for the first time, we had a table at the Ix Farmers Market, which was very successful. We did it on one Saturday earlier in the year, and we'll be doing it again later this month on a Saturday morning for 4 hours. And I encourage anyone to come by, just a chance to talk, say hi, and give a chance for the citizens of Charlottesville to see the commissioners and even city council. I think that the big thing coming up is going to be planning probably for the 2026 celebration in Bessasson. Elizabeth Smiley, who's a representative of Bessasson, has begun planning together with the Office of International Affairs for us to take a delegation in September, 1 year from now, to Bessasson. We've been invited by the mayor, and we're looking forward to celebrating 20 years, because you can imagine, Bessasson has several high schools with whom we work, and the future of the sister cities, the future of everything we do is with the young people. So we do a lot of work through Charlottesville High School, working with Bessasson. I did forget to mention something that we worked on for about a year. Back in April, 30 students from Charlottesville High School for the theater department went to Bessasson and performed 2 performances in the public theater of A Chorus Line. It was well received, and the audience, there was about 300 or 400 people in each performance, and they were very excited. And so we're looking to do something like that again. And as I mentioned also, the other thing that happened with Bessasson is that we had a choir of 41 people, a gospel choir, come this summer. And they were able to form together with the Mount Zion First African Baptist Church, as well as with University Baptist Church. There were several performances. The last performance at Mount Zion was packed. They have an overflow room, which we have packed full of people. I say that's probably the first time since I've been on the commission that we were able to reach so many people and or receive so much feedback and so many questions around what we do. I think it was our chance to show the citizens of Charlottesville the value of the international relationships we have. And we want to continue that up. So we have plans for the year to try to continue to bring it to our people. One last thing was that we made a slight modification in our grants program. Historically, we have given out grants to people to do projects and or travel, but those wind up being more of sort of footing the bill for someone to go walk around Bessasson or walk around a different city for a few days. And they didn't bring anything back. So we're trying to shift the focus on grants programs to grants which bring something to the city of Charlottesville. And we have one outstanding grant where a teacher here from Ghana is going to basically work on developing a children's book for presenting Winneba to our children in the schools in Charlottesville. And I think that's going to be a type of program that we can bring a lot of information back to everyone else, instead of, once again, providing sort of a travel junket for 1 or 2, 3 people. I think basically I've covered everything I can think of. I don't want to take any more of your time. It's always a pleasure to come here. Are there any questions?
Any questions? It's a great program.
Not a question, but a comment. You mentioned the upcoming delegation to Huehuetenango.
Yes.
I think we've talked about this a little bit before, but I am curious if there's any way to talk about the history of the United States in Guatemala, given that the United States backed a coup in 1954. There was a genocide of the Mayan population in the 80s backed by the U.S. government. Over 160,000 Mayans were killed. Huehuetenango is 80% Mayan,
Yes.
indigenous Mayan. I just don't know how we can address that.
One of the things that we are going to do, because when I was there 2 years ago, I participated in several ceremonies. They have had a tragic history, not just with the CIA, but also with dictatorships. And so when we look back at the history over the last 30 years, which quite frankly is fairly recent, one of the things we're looking at doing, and we'll be talking about with the commission, is developing sort of a documentary about each of our sister cities. And in a documentary that we want to present to our citizens in Charlottesville, we can touch upon those subjects about the history and the American involvement in Guatemala. I think it's important for people to understand what is our connection with them. Why do we have a relationship with Guatemala, with Huehuetenango? And we can't do that without talking about the real history. But I think that's one of the things that we hope to focus on. I've been asking each of the city representatives to look at how can you present that city's story so that the people in Charlottesville would be more familiar. At the same time, we're looking at how to present our story to our sister cities, our story in French, our story in Spanish, and other languages. So yes, I think that's going to be a valuable exchange of information. It will give us a chance to understand more about each other. And of course, I still have one seat left for you to come.
It's true, that's true.
Thank you. So
If
yes,
people, if
please.
people did want to join, how would they go about doing that?
Send me a note, email, I will send you a link. And,
Well, just for the, if anyone's listening at
well,
home.
the thing about it is, okay, my email address is herringe@charlottesville.gov. Anyone who were to send me an email and a special interest, I'll make sure you got the information and a link to sign up. You know, as to say, there's always room for one more.
Yeah.
So yes, definitely contact me. If you look at the city's website and click on the boards and commissions, this is City Commission, you'll see a direct link to our website. And from there, you can send an email and I will respond.
Great.
I encourage anyone who wants to go, we'll make room for you. We'll get rid of the spare car van.
Yeah.
Thank you ever so much, everyone, and have a good evening.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for your work on it. The next presentation will be from the Blue Ridge Juvenile Detention Center.
I'm going to want to use the clicker. Hi, everyone. I'm Jay Boland, the Director of Blue Ridge Juvenile
Hello.
Detention.
Welcome.
Thank you for allowing me to come present to you about and tell you a little bit about Blue Ridge Juvenile Detention. I'll kick it off with the mission statement. It is the mission of Blue Ridge Juvenile Detention to provide residents with a safe, clean, and secure environment through a structured program. This includes assessment of residents through residents' needs through integration of academic, mental health, medical programs, and security practices. In meeting its mission, Blue Ridge Juvenile Detention will encourage and foster interagency collaboration in support of transitioning residents to the community. A little bit about the facility. Our facility is located off Avon behind the jail and the armory. It's got the teal roof. You can see it from the interstate, but not a lot of people know that we're there. We opened in 2002. We have a 40-bed capacity, and we are a commission-based facility governed by Albemarle, Charlottesville, Culpeper, Fluvanna, and Greene. Albemarle serves as our fiscal agent. We serve males and females from age 10 to 21. Our education program, some key highlights. We have extended instruction time. Students receive 6 hours of instruction daily, exceeding the 5.5-hour legal requirement. Many believe that once a youth gets incarcerated, school stops. That couldn't be further from the truth. The moment they come in our back door, our principal picks right up where they left off, contacting their base school and seeing what we can do to keep them on track and move them forward while they're with us. We have year-round education. Students attend school for 11 months instead of 10, helping to close the educational gaps more quickly. We have a very high graduation rate, particularly strong outcomes for our DJJ CPP residents, which I'll elaborate on here shortly. They can earn any diploma approved by the state of Virginia, and it's a comparable education. Our curriculum aligns with the Code of Virginia and offers a comparable experience to students' home schools. We also offer career and technical certifications. In addition to the diplomas, they can earn industry recognized certifications. The school is made up of 7 Albemarle County public school teachers, 1 principal, 1 special education teacher, and 1 newly hired transition specialist.
Question about that? Are these teachers who rotate in and out, or are
No,
they
they're
dedicated?
full-time, dedicated to Blue Ridge Juvenile Detention.
Thank you.
The reason for our successful graduation rate is our environment is a supporting learning environment. Many students thrive there. small class sizes. At any given time, a class could be from 3 to 6 students, so they get a lot of individualized attention, which is what a lot of our youth who end up in Blue Ridge Juvenile Detention need, especially for those who have struggled in traditional settings. We have postgraduate programming. Postgrads are still required to attend school and take college classes, earn certifications, or engage in vocational training. Just because you graduated high school, got your GED, we're not going to allow you to just sit on the unit and watch TV all day. We offer a lot of classes and certifications to keep education rolling. Literacy challenges addressed. Over 90% of our students read 2 to 3 grade levels below their current grade level. Instruction is tailored to meet their needs. Minimal use of online learning. We prioritize in-person instruction because we have the staff, and the outcomes seem to be greater when we have in-person instruction rather than just sitting in front of a computer and saying do this assessment. And we try. It also helps with security concerns because the youth these days, they know how to do code, hack this, hack that, get around all these firewalls. So if we do use computers, it's very highly monitored. Comprehensive testing services. We provide SOL, GED, work keys, special education testing, along with all assessments required by the Department of Education. Like I said before, we just hired a new transition specialist. This helps support students who have been with us from whether they were here with us for a day or 2 years, just to ease that transition back to their base school, so they can pick up where they left off. A great example of how amazing our education staff is. We had a girl who struggled in school. She was in and out of Blue Ridge, but she had been doing well for a while, except for education. So the judge ordered her to come to Blue Ridge from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. and then return home at 3:30 p.m. Until she got her GED, or until she got her high school diploma. And that proved to serve her extremely well because of the one-on-one individualized attention our students get. Mental health services. BRJD provides comprehensive mental health services through a dedicated team of professionals. We have a full-time BRJD clinician. He serves as the primary therapist for our state-run programs. He conducts assessments for residents experiencing crisis, and also leads our BRJD garden program. We have a full greenhouse. We have 10 raised beds, 2 greenhouses, a pergola, and a pond. He takes the kids out there because you can really get a kid, I can call him a kid, the youth, to open up when they start getting their hands dirty. We can have a closed-off kid who won't say a word, but once they start digging in that dirt and doing something they really love, they just start talking, and we're able to get to the root cause of some of their mental health issues. We also have a Region 10 mental health case manager who's permanently stationed at Blue Ridge to act as additional mental health support. She acts as the primary therapist for our post-dispositional program, offers case management and mental health services to predispositional residents. I'll go over the predispositional and post-dispositional here in a second. She conducts additional mental health screenings for new intakes. Every youth that comes in our back door goes through a list of screenings, mainly for their safety, anywhere from mental health screenings to physical health screenings. We don't want to put a resident in general population if he's got the flu or COVID. So we do a lot of those questionnaires, whether they are experiencing a mental health crisis, whether they have thought about hurting themselves. We want to get a baseline for them the moment they walk in that back door, just to prevent anything from happening once they get the general population. This includes asking them if they have any enemies, anybody they shouldn't be around, because the last thing we want to do is put them next to Johnny, and Johnny stands up and starts fighting him. So we like to make sure we get ahead of that, and it's proven to be a pretty good system. We also have a psychiatrist that visits the facility weekly to provide medication management services. Medical services, we have a 40-hour-a-week licensed practical nurse on staff to address any medical issues that arise while the residents are with us. She conducts a more thorough medical intake and physical examination upon arrival, and she addresses minor medical needs on site as required. We have specialty medical care. Cases that require specialist attention, such as dental work, physical therapy, medically necessary services, are managed via transport to external specialist facilities. Anything above and beyond our capacity, we just go ahead and take them to UVA. Advanced clinical oversight, we have a part-time family nurse practitioner who works full-time at the jail, so they're always just right across the street if we need them. And they conduct comprehensive physical assessments if needed and address medical issues beyond the scope of our LPN nurse. All of our staff are MedTech certified, so they go through training just so they can respond to emergencies if one were to occur when our nurse is not there. And they're all able to administer medications. They're MedTech certified. All right, you heard me earlier speak about predispositional and post-dispositional. Predispositional is considered when a resident comes in the back door and he's awaiting court. That's predispositional. Post-dispositional is after they've gone in front of the judge, they've been adjudicated, and the judge places them in either one of our programs or sends them to a residential treatment facility or to the Department of Juvenile Justice. We are not under the Department of Juvenile Justice. The Department of Juvenile Justice is a separate entity. We're a juvenile detention center. So if you can think of the DJJ, which is a juvenile correctional facility, you can consider that like adult prison. A juvenile detention center is more like a jail. There's 24 of those across Virginia, and there's only one juvenile correctional facility, and that's in Bon Air, Virginia. So it's up to the judge what program or place that the youth ends up, if not release or diversion. So one of the many programs we have is called the post-dispositional program. It's for local residents only, and it's a structured alternative to juvenile commitment. So I keep forgetting this next one, sorry. Instead of the youth going to the big juvenile correctional facility in Bon Air, they can take part in a 3 to 6 month program with us and have their commitment rescinded upon successful completion of that program. In that program, it's tailored based on the need and may include the following: conflict resolution, criminal and addictive thinking, problem solving, life skills, anger control, victim empathy, character education, gang prevention. In addition to the 2 therapists, we also have 4 case managers that facilitate aggression management, substance abuse, really whatever the resident needs at the time. We also have therapeutic support provided by our clinicians. We like to bring the family in as much as possible because in essence that's what they're returning once they leave. So we provide individual and family counseling services and numerous groups led by facility staff and external community providers. The Department of Juvenile Justice program that we currently have is called the Community Placement Program. In 2014, there was a transformation done by the Department of Juvenile Justice where they shut down 6 of their juvenile correctional facilities. That left a pretty significant need for bed space, and that's when Blue Ridge Juvenile Detention, along with numerous other juvenile detention centers who were underutilized, picked up the community placement program. So instead of residents going 200 miles to a juvenile correctional facility, they can stay local, which is always good because that's where they're going back to. That's where their community service providers are, their family, and it makes visitation easier. It makes court easier. We've had that program since 2014. That's only for residents who have been committed to DJJ. It's actually age 13 to 20, not 16 to 20, and we focus on the areas listed there. We foster a positive peer culture through cognitive social learning community model. I am a brother's keeper, emphasizing peer support as the primary agent in behavioral change. Individual counseling, group counseling, dialectical behavior therapy, substance abuse, aggression management, and so on. Any questions about the transformation? I know there was a lot of history in two seconds. All right, the next program we offer is the CAP program. One of the juvenile correctional facilities that was closed down was the Reception and Diagnostic Center, where residents were sent once the judge committed them to DJJ. That closed, so that also left a need for someone to fill those shoes. So Blue Ridge, along with numerous other juvenile detention centers, says we'll do the assessments. So instead of going to the center in Richmond, they can stay local and close to home. And this is where it's a 21 to 30 day period where they get psychological evaluation, full physical, educational, vocational assessments. It's a month-long assessment to find out what the resident really needs, what we need to focus on, so we're not providing services to a resident who doesn't need it or providing too much services to a resident who doesn't need that much. And each resident has a probation officer who stays with them from beginning to their release and release from incarceration and after the probationary period. All right. Community partners supporting youth at BRJD. We have numerous an active volunteer roster of community members who offer educational, therapeutic, and career-focused programs. It just seems like after COVID, everybody was just itching to get out there and help the community, and we felt that we have a long list of great volunteers to help us out and provide services. Here's a list of a few of them: healthy relationships and reproductive health, job skills and work readiness provided by UVA Pipelines and Pathways program. We have an entrepreneurship series, Home to Hope in Central Virginia Small Business Development, and Transformative Futures, which is led by Legal Aid Justice Center's Youth Justice Program, the Uhuru Foundation, No Left Turns, Not Me and I Believe, and a guest speaker series organized by the Second Chances program. We recently had a large family day, the first one since the end of COVID, and we have really opened our doors to the community as well as the family members. Before COVID, Sunday was really the only time you could visit your child when you were there. We've had to think outside of the box because of COVID, and we are able to allow residents to see their families all throughout the week, and we've maintained that process. We had over 100 people show up, from community members, family members, staff. It was just a great opportunity for all those who will be providing services to our residents to all come to one place and really think outside the box. And we plan on having many more. It was in the middle of July, so it was really hot.
warm.
It was indoor and outdoor. Most people stayed indoor. Here's a brief list of some of the community partners that we recently, or that we've been doing business with. Probably recognize some on there. A couple of demographics. Admissions broken down by each fiscal year. The number on the right under admissions is Charlottesville only. Any questions?
The average length of stay has gone up pretty significantly since pre-pandemic. Is there anything driving that trend?
I think the DJJ transformation, they did a complete overhaul of their length of stay guidelines. So it really depends on the current director of the Department of Juvenile Justice, which changes every 4 years. And the current director is instituted a lot of minimum sentences. So those residents who might have stayed lesser time before are now staying longer. Lower status crimes are now rendering longer lengths of stays. That's proven not to be the best for the individuals, especially when they go to the juvenile correctional facility away from their family. So it looks like it's taking a turn back to looking at alternative ways to provide services to juveniles outside of incarceration. So hopefully we'll see that number go down, which looks like we did in 25.
Thank you, that's definitely helpful. The only thing, just to comment, I mean, it stuck out, over 90% of,
Yeah.
People there are 3,
Yeah.
grade levels behind in reading. In our disproportionate minority contact report, one of the big findings there as well was that the achievement gap in, literacy starting, pre-K through 3rd grade is such a huge part of determining, just by 3rd grade, it starts to compound. And
Yeah.
there's just all these life consequences and just the importance of focusing on that within our schools. It just stuck out to me that,
Yeah.
again, we see that is such a huge cause of people ending up in the criminal justice system.
Yeah, and it's great that they get such individualized attention while they're with us. It just stinks that they have to do what they did to get that individualized services. So, yeah, I'm pretty proud of our educational program.
How long have you been there?
I got there in 2014. I was a case manager at Culpeper Juvenile Correctional Facility during the closure. I got laid off and accepted the job at Fluvanna Correctional Facility. But before I started there, the superintendent at Blue Ridge called me and offered me the job to head the community placement program. So I've been there since 2014. As the CPP case manager, deputy director, and the director now for 4 years.
Well, thank you for your service.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, a couple of times during your presentation, you used the term that came in through the back door. Is that just a term that's...
Yeah, what we do is after a youth has done their time, we always tell them, hey, come back and see us, but through the front door. That's the front lobby. So that's a term that we come back and see us into the front door and tell us how well you're doing, not through the back door, which is usually in a squad car.
Yeah.
What are the general, that kind of segues into my question, which is what happens to the folks who graduate and get out? Do you have any data on prognosis or like the degrees of success or
recidivism rate?
recidivism?
That's a really hard number to knock down. There's a lot of disagreement on what actually is recidivism. We have, some people consider a success when a youth gets released and never comes back. But if a youth comes to us and they came to us originally for breaking into someone's house and stealing a bunch of stuff, and they come back for smoking marijuana, that could be considered a success story because their latest crime is a lot less significant and not towards a person than their original crime. So that could be considered success. But in the system, it still says they got locked back up and goes against the recidivism rate. So there aren't really any good concrete numbers out there. We do have some frequent flyers, and a lot of that has to do with where they go once they leave us. We try to send a lot of our youth to independent living programs because we can do all this work while they're with us, but we send them right back into the neighborhood where their buddies are trying to get them to do this, or they don't have a stable home, then it's almost setting them up for failure. So they're youth independent living homes and apartment complexes all over Virginia, and those have proven to be the most successful way for return to the community.
All right, thank you.
Lloyd, did you?
I have a question. I'm frankly been trying to figure out how exactly to formulate it. We have often heard, as we have heard presentations about the problems of shootings and violence in the community and so on, that there is a significant and discrete population of basically teenage boys who are, you know, perhaps responding to different things from what the adults are responding to when they commit shootings and so on. Is there any sort of broad theme or themes that you can tell us about among the people who, you know, particularly anybody who's come in for a crime of violence or a shooting?
I would say, I'll go back to what I was saying earlier about sending them right back to the neighborhood they came from, sending right back in the same, with the same youth that they were with when they committed those acts. A lot of them are, we see a lot of younger brothers following their older brothers. I think what would really help is if the moment they step out of our back door, someone's picking that up. Probation does a great job at getting services in line, but I think there needs to be one more step in between that, because if you just put them right back where they committed their initial infraction to get them locked up, the odds of them doing that again are very high. So, like, again, getting them into a different scenery has been the best proven outcomes. I know that's not always an option, so it's really up to having services ready and waiting for them once they're released.
Is there any form of service that has been found to be successful elsewhere that you're sort of itching for a chance to try out around here?
We just started a program, Dialectal Behavioral Therapy, which...
Yeah, I saw that reference. I was going to ask you what that is.
Yeah, it's about mindfulness and really understanding how, what was going through your mind when you did what you did. It's a cognitive behavioral therapy arm off of that modality, and that really helps them to internalize and identify what they felt in that moment. It might have been peer pressure, it might have been anger, it might have been sadness, and at the facility they have the opportunity to practice those scenarios and develop skills to hopefully allow them to make a different choice than what they did in the moment to get them to Blue Ridge. So DBT is where it's at.
Okay, thank you.
Was that your last slide?
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Thank you so much, sir.
Yep,
Appreciate
no
it.
problem. Thank you.
Our final presentation today is the Historic Resource Committee, and it will be Julie and Jeff.
Jeffrey and Jeff show. All right. Hello.
Hello, Julie.
Some of you do various other things in the city.
Yes.
Okay. Is it going to come up on its own?
No.
Or-
Here we go.
Excuse me, was this presentation emailed to me? I'm looking at my email, I don't see it.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see anybody's mouth. Sorry.
I have it on a thumb drive.
Yes.
Do we need it quickly? Do we need it?
It's in the
Packet?
packet, yeah, so, no, the thing I sent you the other day is for later see disembodied.
So if we go to page 26 of the packet, we will see the presentation.
Correct.
Right, it'll just mean, I'm currently sharing it from the packet, I just didn't know if there was another option.
Okay, so we're doing this from the packet. Awesome.
If you just say next slide, he'll be able to move it forward.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. My name is Julie Basic.
I am a landscape architect by profession, but I am the chair of the Historic Resources Committee in Charlottesville. We are a city council-appointed committee, 12 members maximum. We currently have 11 of 12 seats filled, one of which by Mr. Snook is our city council representative. We have some folks here today as well to support, from the committee to support us. I'm just going to go quickly through a few slides to talk about who we are and what we've done and where we're heading. On this first slide, you can see that our mission is to advocate, promote, encourage, and coordinate historic resources, cultural landscape preservation, historic preservation, those kinds of things. We advocate for historic preservation. We promote an appreciation of local historic resources, and we encourage and coordinate with other agencies, civic organizations, institutions. We have a lot of intercommunity ties that we work with to help these goals come to fruition. Next slide. And a little bit of background for those of you who may not be that familiar with the Historic Resources Committee. We've actually been around in some form or another for 19 years, 19, 20 years. But historic preservation has been around in the city formally for over 60 years, 66 years of historic preservation starting in 1959 with the Architectural Design Control Ordinance that also created your Board of Architectural Review that's still around today. So I won't go through the entire timeline, but you can see that this city has a long standard of preserving historic resources, and this is where you are today, why you have such a beautiful, vibrant city with a mix of uses, a mix of culture, identity, and a diverse presentation to the community and visitors. The next slide. And when we're talking about codification and planning and code precedent that we saw on the previous slide, 8 of the 11 goals in Chapter 4 of the Comprehensive Plan discuss the importance of historic preservation to the city. And these goals talk about directives to protect historic resources and the city's unique identity. So the vision statement in Chapter 4, it recognizes the importance of historic preservation and the efforts to celebrate the city's unique cultural and historical identity. You can see that in your own comp plan, there is a lot of precedent and directive to make sure historic resources are taken care of. Next slide. So the importance of the Historic Resources Committee is manifold. We are a citizen-led group appointed by City Council to share insight, input, and concerns regarding historic resources. We're also a very diverse group with individual expertise, unique experiences and careers, and a variety of qualifications. And we all work as one unit of a committee to make sure that we are looking at things from diverse viewpoints. We are understanding from our different professional experiences, whether they be cultural resource related or something that's completely different. It could be just a community citizen who's sitting on our committee, or it could be someone who is qualified by the Department of Interior to be doing professional preservation work. We serve as a sounding board for preservation staff, Jeff and Kate. They ask us questions, they ask for our inputs. We help guide some of their choices as they, from the professional staff point of view. We assist them with their projects and tasks. If they need help with anything preservation related, they can ask us. And if we have the ability to volunteer, we will, because we are all volunteers who choose to be on this committee. We assist other city departments with their historic resources concerns. One of the biggest things that we're working on right now, we do flyers for the historic preservation walks, for the community bike ped advisory committee walks that happen once a month, Tommy Safranek. So we make a flyer that helps Tommy talk about historic resources along the walk. We are available to receive public comments and about preservation issues. We have an HRC email that people can reach out to us and ask questions directly if they can't reach Jeff or Kate, or it's just not something that the preservation staff needs to work on.
Julie, just quickly, I'm sorry. The information that y'all provide for the walks, I did this several months ago, the one in Rose Hill, and it's a lot of interesting tidbits that you can gather up, and it was very interesting to find out some of the stuff.
Good.
And I know
that's
that's just one
helpful.
community. It's a lot there. So thank
Yeah,
you.
we're on number 9 now. So we work as a committee. I do the flyers, and the rest of the committee, they volunteer 1 per month to give me notes and tidbits and historical resources, and I compile them into a flyer. So that's how it works. And it's Jefferson Park Avenue is this Sunday?
The 14th.
The 14th,
Yep.
thank you.
From 1 to 3, meeting at Endeavor Cycles.
Yay, because I
that's
know Ms. Oshrin has been with us once or twice on some of the walks, yeah. So we also, one of our main goals that we really appreciate doing is informing and educating the community about the city's history. I think that's something that we all take pride in, is not only receiving the information and working with Jeff and Kate, but also being a resource for people to reach out to with those flyers and other things that I'll show you in the next couple slides, some projects that we are going to work on in the future and are working on now. So on behalf of the city, we collaborate with other historical-minded organizations such as the Albemarle Charlottesville Historical Society and the Ivy Creek Foundation. We work with them to make sure that we understand what they need, that we're not reinventing the wheel in terms of preservation resources, and just to make sure that we're telling the full story of what's happened in our region. So our existence signals the city's commitment to preserving historic resources that make the community unique and tell the full story of Charlottesville's evolution and help drive tourism and economic development. So that's one of the reasons that we are an important organization. Next slide. So some of the past things that Historic Resources Committee has achieved, I limited it to the last 5 years because, as you saw, there's over 60 years of preservation work here and about 20 years of Historic Preservation Committee, or Historic Resources Committee. So 2021, we supported work at the Daughters of Zion Cemetery, helped comment on honorary street names for their appropriateness, and endorsed historic designations in Charlottesville. And we supported the work of the Memory Project led by current HRC member Jolene Schmidt. The next year, we had some issues with COVID, so there weren't as many highlights that year, but one of them was funded the Burley High School plaques. And the next year after that, co-sponsored the Ann Bailey Lecture about the Weeping Time, and researched updates for the downtown walking tour map. And that initiated a long period of time where we were going through the text, going through pictures, making sure that the walking tour map really represented what we wanted to say. 23-24 contributed funding for the Swan Tavern artifact analysis that was done through a city-county collaboration. Ben Ford of Ravenna Archaeology worked on that. Contributed money for GPR examinations of the McKee Block, and contributed funding for research of enslaved individuals at Penn Park. And just recently funded Court Square and Carver Inn markers that you probably saw or on the news, or you may have attended those unveilings of those markers. And that kind of work is really important because as our city grows and changes and evolves, whether it's increased density or demolition or whatever changes happen, if something comes down, we want to make sure that the city is able to tell the story of what was there, even if it's just a marker at this point. So we do a lot of marker work. Oh yes.
Quick question about that. When you say funded, does the city give money to HRC to do those kinds of projects, or is it fundraising?
It is funded through the city allotment to the Historic Resources Committee.
Okay.
So we have a budget.
Got it. Okay. Thanks.
We upgraded the Johnson Elementary marker because it was very small and somewhat illegible about the Charlottesville 12 and the integration of Johnson Elementary back in I guess it's Tall Oaks Elementary now, back in 1961, and got a much nicer, larger monument. And at some point, the city was kind enough to put a sidewalk right in front of it. So now you don't have to walk into the grass to read the marker. So thank you very much. And co-sponsored the lecture entitled The Past and Future of Court Square. And that was the findings of the Swan Tavern artifact analysis, which was fascinating. If you didn't have a chance to make it, it's on YouTube. You can find it through the Albemarle County Historical Society's YouTube page. And I think they had 38,000 artifacts they found there. It was quite impressive and a very important thing to make sure we understand the past and present of what happened at that site. Next slide. And while we're talking about past projects, the Blue Ribbon Commission on Race, Memorials, and Public Spaces took place in 2016. It was a group of individuals, citizens, staff, and anyone else?
It was a who's who of Charlottesville.
A who's who of Charlottesville asked to comment and develop recommendations on race, memorials, and public spaces. So that came out in 2016. And it was accepted by City Council, I believe, the same year. And so of those items that were recommended, Historic Resources Committee helped install a proper visible historic marker to replace the current illegible marker, state historical marker at Court Square, installed an updated plaque at the Daughters of Zion Cemetery, placed interpretive banners about the former community of the Vinegar Hill community on the Code Building, highlighted and linked historic places, and contributed funding for the 10th and Page neighborhood survey. We advised City Council on proposed honorary street names, funded and installed state historical marker at the Carver Inn site, and we developed the walking tour map and hosted the Ann Bailey lecture. So all those items were in the 2016 Blue Ribbon Commission document, and the HRC is very proud of making a lot of those things happen, those recommendations. It wasn't just sitting on the shelf somewhere. The next slide. Some of our current projects. The big thing we have going on right now is we have a group, a subcommittee of the Historic Resources Committee working on the 50th anniversary of the Downtown Mall, which is next year, July 3rd, 2026. So in July 3rd, 1976, the mall was officially opened with a ribbon cutting ceremony. So we are collaborating with a number of organizations throughout Charlottesville, mainly the Friends of Seville, who has a pretty robust program in place to celebrate the 50th anniversary. So this project is going to be not an oral history necessary, but collecting of people's memories and feelings and thoughts about the 50th, or about the downtown mall, and taking those pieces, tidbits, and making an exhibition out of them, a scrolling exhibition. There's still a lot of details to be worked out, but we're going to collect that data about people who lived on the downtown mall or near the mall, visitors, tourists, people who work there. We're trying to get as much of a diverse population of feedback as possible to make sure we have this exhibition that can talk about, well, 50 years ago we started this, and here we are now. So how did people feel about it? How is it today? And what's the future of the downtown mall? We are working on another project, a city schools collaboration, to promote the city as a classroom. One of our members, Denny Berry, is working with the Charlottesville City Schools to use some of the Swan Tavern artifacts to develop a social studies program in the city elementary schools. So the school teachers can actually have pieces of Charlottesville history in their hands to talk about the history of Charlottesville with students. I've talked about the Bike Ped Neighborhood Walk historical flyers that we do once a month in collaboration with Tommy Safranek. We have...
There's the JPA.
Oh, good.
One, and the walking tour map.
Okay. Is that the one I sent today?
one Kate handed.
Okay, all right.
Thanks, Jeff.
I just sent a new flyer. There were a couple errors on the last one, so, but that's the general layout of the flyer. We just want to make sure that as you're walking through the neighborhood, you understand what you're walking through. So I think it's a good collaboration between pedestrian resources and historic resources. And then the walking tour map is also going around. I believe that is the second printing of that. First printing, but we're getting ready for the second printing of that downtown walking tour map. And we're also working on supporting historic designations. The Hammond House in the Greenbrier neighborhood just got a National Register nomination approved. We are going to continue working with other agencies such as ACHS on co-sponsoring speakers. And I believe coming up, preservation staff has some design guidelines and documents that they will run by Historic Resources Committee for just some general input and feedback. Next slide. So moving forward, what do we need to keep up the good work that we are all doing here for the last 60-some years? Historic Resources Committee needs council and staff support and buy-in for our projects. We think they're very important, and we hope you do too. We need preservation, or support and buy-in for preservation staff efforts and what they're doing, because we are linked. What they do, we help with. What we do, they help with. And continued inclusion in city-led documents such as the comprehensive plan, visioning, small area plans, goals, and objectives. We hope that you continue to think about cultural resources and historic preservation when those things come up, because we feel that in addition to affordable housing and bicycle and pedestrian actions, that historic preservation is a key thing that helps define the city, both just the way it looks, but the way it functions, who comes here, who wants to live here. If we're talking about a vibrant, beautiful place to live, Charlottesville, one of the key things that people come here for is the appearance. And I think that all those things can work together. It doesn't have to be one over the other, but I think it could be a collaborative effort about all the efforts that you're making across the board. And continued funding for Historic Resources Committee and preservation initiatives, and clear direction and specific requests. If you have any kind of historic preservation question, or how does this work with what we're doing over here, any kind of directive that you want, if you just email us with a question, either directly through hrc@charlottesville.gov or through Jeff or Kate, we're happy to respond and collaborate with you all. So I will leave you with this quote from your 1993 Historic Preservation Plan, that safeguarding the heritage of the city promotes pleasure, education, and sense of well-being among its citizens. Protecting the city's unique resources also fosters civic pride, contributes to an understanding of the city's past, and serves as a guide for the future development. And the economic value of preservation can be realized both in the stabilization of property values and the stimulation of business. So that was written, a long time ago, and I think that quote still holds true for the city.
Thank you. Before we move on, I just had a quick question. I know at a regular meeting, we're going to be entertaining a project about...
The Wertenbacher House.
Yes, on Wortland Street. I guess that's where the name... So maybe you can do this, or Jeff can. How do you all play a role into... You provide information to the bar, or...
On that, in particular,
Or just in general, but
I think first off, I'll add to what Julie was saying. One really important thing I hope people take away from this is that the 2016 Blue Ribbon Commission report recommendations are very much behind just about everything the HRC is up to. And I think, and I know I shared it several years ago, I probably have to circulate it again, for you all to see not just what the HRC has done, but what the city overall has done in response to those recommendations. It's really an impressive list. So for something like the Wertenbacher House, that's a really well-known place. There wasn't, we certainly had members contributing, offering to me information they had things that they knew. But I don't want to say the HRC and BAR are separate, but the HRC is certainly aware of what the BAR's up to, and if they have comments or recommendations and suggestions, that they know where to find me. So, yeah, that's a rather well-known property over there, so there's quite a body of work that's already there.
Yes, yes.
But yes, in general, we help support research and, anything that needs to be done.
Good.
So-
Thank you. I'll see if others have questions or comments. Lord, I'll start with you.
I have enjoyed my time affiliated with the Historic Resource Commission,
You try to keep it fun.
and I will blame the Historic Resource Commission for my broken foot, since I was on my way to the walk around the Greenbrier Neighborhood Association when I broke my foot.
Oh, that's
no.
that's
It's
where
all
you.
y'all's fault.
Yeah. That's where you were going. You mentioned that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So.
I have nothing further to add. Actually, there is one thing I would like to point out. If you go back a couple of pages, let's see, if you go back to the page that shows the past projects and activities, back again, back another, there you go. If you look at the last picture, I noted this at the time, look at how packed that plaque is. There is not a single space unfilled. And we probably went through 6 months worth of arguing about exactly how that space should be utilized, counting individual letters and even in some cases the fractions of letters of spaces to be able to fill every conceivable square inch of that. And it sort of amused me as a wordsmithing kind of person, but it also impressed me greatly at how many people with such intelligence devoted so much effort to that one plaque.
Yes, and I came in at the tail end of the first printing of the walking tour map, and the spacing between the words, the way that people took, the passion that people had to make sure that the story was being told in a proper way and something that was still relevant to someone who has no idea what the downtown mall is, or Heather Higher Way, or the history of the city. As people took a lot of time and care to do that walking tour map.
So I just want to add with that, when you mention that, I have this copy here that I got from Eugene Williams, who's kind of the patriarch of this community with dealing with civil rights, and he is extremely proud of it. So, well, it's hard to, he's a high barrier. So the wordsmithing did the job. So thank you so much for that.
I think that's you, Wade. You're up in the picture.
Yeah, you spoke really well. Yeah.
Yep.
I would say it's an interesting exercise to take a complicated moment in time or person or events and put it into 100 words. I mean, it is, I like when we speak, you guys know I spoke a lot in my career, and 500 words is about 3 minutes. But to condense that down to 100 words is quite an exercise. And what was interesting is I've been involved in 7 or 8 markers over my career, and it's always like the worst group project ever. This one was so buttery smooth. It was really remarkable. Everybody brought things to the table, had a lot of things. I learned what an Oxford comma is. But it was really a rewarding process, and I think, I won't say I'm a fan of markers, but that one was an interesting one. But thanks Juan Diego for helping out with that one and unveiling it.
I just thank you for your work. I really appreciate it and enjoyed the presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I don't have a question, but I just have there's some thoughts milling around. My degrees are in history, American studies, and art history was my minor. So if I could make the Historic Resources meeting on Friday at 10, I would probably argue to be on that committee. But I do think it's interesting how there's this history of historic preservation that parallels the kind of restrictive covenants and downzonings of the past that created displacement and limited opportunities for non-white people in our community and communities across the country. And so a lot of the work that's being done and that you're highlighting here is recognizing those folks who were displaced, or, you know, there's the Salem enslaved people marker, there's the Carver Inn marker, there's, you know, the Daughters of Zion Cemetery, all of these things that are related to that. And then the quote that you cited from 1993 about the Historic Preservation Plan happened right after the 1991 downzoning, which we know downzoning and limiting development to single-family homes only is a really good way to not stabilize property values, but drive them up and create and foster more displacement. So there's this interesting balance of recognizing history and also trying not to contribute to further damage.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a key thing I've always seen historic preservation not as saving old things, but as a way to manage change. Because we know that things are going to change over time. We just want to be more thoughtful and considerate from when, you know, the urban renewal projects of the 1960s. We have that as a touchstone to look at. So when we're talking about historic resources here, I think it's important to look back at those things and make sure that the processes that take place in the future, again, we work collaboratively with these. So we're not taking away everything that tells the story of Charlottesville over the last few hundred years, but we're making space for new things. So it's managing change over time and looking forward while we have these touchstones.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that's probably a challenging conversation to have sometimes when you know there's, you know, we have emergencies nowadays that we have to address, and to balance those priorities is difficult. Thanks.
Michael?
Yeah, I would just say, you know, I appreciate the presentation, the amount of work that you all do. I think, you know, in the conversation you brought up, I think, you know, it's definitely about managing change and how do we grow and accept change while still, you know, allowing architecture, history, the past to be the part of the fabric of our communities. Because I think when it's done well, historic preservation and you know, public architecture is not about blocking change or displacing people, but it is about those things as a public good that regardless of your income, you have access to as a public good that's part of the fabric of communities. If the downtown mall did not have historic preservation and did not have intentional planning, it probably looked like Barracks Road right now. So that, I feel like, is a perfect example of when it's done right, it can create transformative public spaces. And how do we move towards getting it right and allowing change if we think something like the downtown mall is good and shouldn't have just been like Barracks Road? And I think that's a very interesting, big question, and I know that, but I think, I mean, you raised part of it, and I think that is, I think, you know, our current comp plan, I think, is, you know, getting the direction. We're a city that can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can have change, we can have new development, and we can also seriously take historic preservation seriously. It does not have to be either or.
And often, sometimes they work hand in hand. If you're talking about adaptive reuse of an historic building, rather than demolish it to put up whatever the next thing is, perhaps there's a way to collaborate on that. So.
And I like your use of the word walk there. But that actually reminded me, I was going to make an announcement about the walk next weekend, and thank you all then for the contributions that you've made with the flyers, but I'll do it here as well. So okay. I appreciate that we have those to look at when we do the walks. Right. It's cool to sightsee that way.
Other comments? thank you all so much for your work, and Jeff, thank you for your guidance as staff on this, and I appreciate all of your work that you do for the city and the community. Thank you, Julie. And I know you do work with other things like
Yes.
Bennett's.
Venice Village.
Thank you so much.
Natalie, I just remind you, or asked you to remind me about something.
Yeah.
And this came up, all the crossing of lines of the research that we work on. And Sam Towler, who's been doing a lot of the work on Penn Park, started talking to me about a hotel that used to be over here where Mickey Building is. And then he mentioned an artist who was there in the late 1860s, a Swedish artist, Swiss artist, who painted all around town these really amazingly detailed paintings of emancipated black families. And they're in locations, and I didn't know anything about this. Kate and I really haven't found many people that are aware of it, but I have to share that with you as from the art historian side, and just looking at these images. I mean, I think it's as close to photographs as we'll ever have of that period in Charlottesville. And it's surprising how, just one of those things that comes along. And we all wish on the committee, I know that if we didn't sleep or have to eat, we could just.
It sounds like a project for the HRC, that we can talk about it in a couple of
But
weeks.
thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Have a nice evening. So we don't have a closed session, so we will come back at 6:30. There's nothing else, right, Sam? We can.
No.
Okay. We'll be back at 6:30. Thank you.
Good job.